Flight boss, bitch. You know, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Terry's Move. Flight boss, the Archangel Uriel. And I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now I want to talk about what's going on beneath the veil in your home. That's right. What's going on behind the scenes in your home. Now, if you're a very spiritual person, you kind of tap into these energies subconsciously. If you're a person that's very left brain, very logical, you may sense it, but you may tie it to so much things in reality that you may be missing the actual point. But this is going to explain why you feel certain vibes in your home, why in certain things, and why it's important to sleep in every area in your house or your home or wherever you lay your head down at. I don't care, even if it's just a nap. It's important because before we break this video down, right? This is going to get, I want you to understand these concepts so you can have a clear way of seeing it so you don't get lost throughout the video. So there's a few things I need to break down, a few barriers I need to break down so you can have a clear concept when I start to get into why it's important to sleep in every area of your life. I mean, to sleep in every area of your household, in your home, and why things appear to, why you may have certain different dreams in certain areas, and why it may be different when you're taking a nap in another area of the house. Like if you sleep in the living room, or you sleep on the floor, or you sleep, you see what I'm saying? So for the most part, I'm going to help you understand how to pick up the frequency vibrations of your home so you can understand what happened, what was going on when the people was living there before you, and the energies that they picked up from the people that was living there before them, and things of that nature. And it's going to give you a broad sense on how to understand when you go into someone's household why you picking up certain frequencies, and then when you're looking for a home, and then you looking and you got the motherfucker in there taking you through each room, and you feel certain vibes through each rooms. That's very real. So there's a few things I gotta break motherfucking down. So this is gonna be a deep motherfucking video right here. So stick with me. So let's break down the certain shit first so you can understand what's actually going on. Now the first concept is the most surface level one that I want you to understand. Now the first movie that came to my head to kind of bring this to a conclusion is Silent Hill. So if you ever seen Silent Hill, you understand how she was in one space and location, right? So things around her appeared to look one specific way, right? But when the veil lifted, right, she was in the same space, but everything appeared to look different. It appeared to look what it really looked like, right? So take that concept and correlate that with when you are awake and when you are asleep. When you are awake, this is actually how things appear to be because of how the lights are emitting and angling each other and creating this reality. So this is what the illusion appears to be like, right? So this is how you know it's the illusion. Now when you go to sleep, you're still in the same space, but the veil was lifted because you're not depending on these lights to correlate the realm of reality. You're dependent on your own. So the veil is lifted and you're able to see this realm of reality, what's really going on there when you're asleep. So this is going to help you understand why it's important to sleep in every room and don't from time to time, and don't get so fixated with just sleeping in one specific room if you're in a household. Now, for you can understand what's going on in your house and what spirits is lingering. So now that you understand that, let's get the second thing out the way that you should understand. Now, space is more important than the things that reside in the space. Let me say that again. Space is important, way more important than the things that's residing and taking up that space. So anything that's taking up that space is only receiving. So you are a black hole. We live in a black hole. Any light that's in this black hole is trying to sustain itself within that black hole. Now before we get lost in me saying black hole and all that shit, let's look at it from this concept. Right? Now for the most part, the space is most important. That's correlated to the frequency vibration, the frequency realm. So us as spirits, right, we create all the things, the material, the energy that could take a shape and form from non-physical to physical within that space. You see what I'm saying? We create that as spirits. So as spirits, based upon how we're relating to each other, based upon our direction, you're directed in one way, I'm directed in another way. So in the astral realm, our spirits is going in other directions, right? But in our space that we're going in a certain direction in is creating space between. And that space, right, is the rainbow waters. It's like the space can become dense. It's vibrating. And the more other spirits interact within that same space, the more that space can vibrate and more density and add more dimension and become shapes and forms into certain realms of realities, aka lights, forms of informations. Now, this vibration that comes from us interacting with each other based upon our spiritual direction, aka you got your ideas, I got my ideas. Now, that creates the space between us. Now, based upon your direction and my direction, that vibration that's created, that rainbow waters, is the vibe. So we created the energy that's going on, the rotation that's going on in that space, right? Now in that space, it's a spiral that's going on now, based upon what we just did as spirits. Now that rotation is vibrating, and it could take many different shapes and forms that play out as examples of what we was doing as a spirit. As your idea was going in one direction and my idea was going in direction. And the information that our ideas consist of is with the space of rainbow waters is what we created. Now that could take many different shapes and forms and come into many different realities. The more other spirits interact with that space, and the more we interact with that same space and keep correlating with that pattern. Now those shapes and forms become lights. We could take those as bodies. So me talking about the space is letting you know that fuck the stars and everything. This is why it's important to always understand horoscopic astrology, because once you understand horoscopic, you will be able to take that system and then understand Eastern astrology and everything else, because therefore you'll be able to take the horoscopic system and place it into where a star will be at now, once you get to Eastern and where the stars is traveling now. For an example, like I said, we are all stars. What's the point of you saying you're a Gemini? What's the point of you saying you're a Taurus? What is Taurus? A star constellation. You're saying you're a star. Duh. Why celebrate your birthday if you're not into astrology? Duh. So for the most part, when we talk about the space, those stars may have moved in another space, so they're playing out different characteristics, but you got to know where you're from to know where you're going. So that's the same way you come from a certain place, but when you go into another space, you have to correlate with those frequencies the best way you can to understand and put your feet down in that space, either if you're in jail or you move to another location or whatever. You get my concept? So this is letting you know that the space you are in means more than the things that's in it. Now that we understand that concept, right? Now there's another concept that we want to understand also. Now, this is when we talk about the location that you in, the space that you in. Now, there's many different spirits that was there before you, that took bodies there before you, aka there was even spirits that lived in bodies that even lived in the house before you did. Many have died, many passed on. So this is what you need to understand, right? Now once a person passed on, they're in another realm of reality. They're not in your existence anymore. So the conscious is gonna conflate. Now this is what you need to understand. Energy can't be destroyed. It could only be reciprocated. It could only transform. It can't be destroyed, it could be transformed. So say a person lived in your house that you just moved into, right? Now say this person has certain attachments to the room that they lived in, right? The room that they always was in. And then throughout the whole house, they had certain different vibes throughout the whole house, certain emotions and feelings. But in a specific room that you pick, or just a specific room in general, this is where a lot of their emotions and feelings came out. Now say they attached themselves to a lot of things in that space, right? Now, and so that's a form of not letting go. That's a form of not detaching. So say this person died, right? This person's spirit is still lingering on, whether they're in another existence or not. You know why? Because look, when they went into another life, right, they're in another realm of reality, or just got birthed into another life. So the energy that they was putting into in this life like I said, energy can't be destroyed. It can only be transformed. So just because they went into another life, they died from the life you're in right now. So you moved into their house and shit, you don't know them and shit, right? Wherever they went, right, they're still paying attention to the same energy signature. It might just take another shape and form wherever they're at, but it's still the same energy. Now remember, we're all in the same universe, so it's the same energy. So this is what you need to understand. In their life, the energy may be playing out as another shape and form, but the more they're paying attention to that energy in their life, that energy still reside and still take shape and form in the life that you're in that room. So say if they was clinging on to the carpet or something like that, right? And all these emotions and feelings is there. It may take the shape and form of a person or another person, place, or thing in the life that they are in. But the more energy that and the paying attention to that they give into the life that they're in will still play out in the life that you're in that room as the carpet. If you get what I'm trying to say. So it could play out into anything, just the vibration of that room and that house still being in that spot where that vibration of that person's spirit was vibrating at. You see what I'm saying? So this is what you need to understand. If it's a spirit that was solely detached and they didn't want to let go to the point that it's a spirit that didn't want anybody else in that room, right? Say this is your bedroom, right? Now, in this life, this person is taking another shape and form, but they paying attention to it. The moment you give attention to that room, aka is your room. So you have thoughts of going in your room, you have thoughts of doing this, that, and third. Your shit is in your room. So the more paying attention you give to the room, it's a channeling. It's a channeling system happening. So in the realm of reality they in, and the realm of reality you in now, from the realm that they left, it's connected, the channel's connected, because y'all both paying attention to the same energies now. It don't matter the shape and form. It don't matter y'all in different constellations, different universes or not. Y'all still channeling the same energy. So now y'all channeling. Now say they was in the spot before you. So if they died from your realm of reality and they was in your spot before you, right? Their access is going to channel in their idea. Their idea is going to play out more than yours. So this is what's going to happen, right? The moment y'all start channeling, now you're going to start picking up each other. So when they're paying attention to their day-to-day life and you're just paying attention to your day-to-day life, it's going to pick up with a spiritual connection. So you're going to always go into this room like the first channel is going to start making you feel like, man, I feel weird. Something feel weird, right? Then the more energy you give that, right? You're going to start playing out to what that person want to portray. And if that being didn't want nobody in that room that you're in currently, by you paying attention to that room, you're helping manifest that circumstance. So it's gonna go from you feeling certain vibes. It's gonna go from you hearing certain things. It's gonna go from certain things coming up missing in your room. That's extreme, but it could go that far. But it'll play out as you misplace something. But just the simple fact that you misplaced something, it's a reason to that. It's a reason to everything. You need to understand that. That's why you have those moments where, say you in one spot and you thinking of something. Then you get up and walk to another spot and be like, damn, I forgot what I'm in this spot for. Then you have to go back to that other spot to remember why. You see what I'm saying? That's why it's like that. Spaces and locations are vibrating with different energies. So now that you understand that, once you pay attention to that, what you're sensing, you're going to help manifest what that spirit being don't want and what you don't want, to the point that you start getting ran out the room. It might even play out to the point that you be like, man, I can't even sleep in that room. I can't even sleep in that room. I'm always having fucked up dreams. I gotta do this, that, and third, or whatever like that. So this is helping you. This is helping you understand the spirits that's going on, even from a broader level. The city and the location that you in. There's a whole lot of beings that lived there before you that then died and passed on, and a lot of people that's walking on these locations now, depending on the city that you stay in, y'all are walking off concepts and ideas based upon people who lived there before you. This is why you grow up in gang cities that's already in that rotation, in that vibration, because it's people already there that had it in rotation. People who already put those type of concepts out there before them. People who didn't died and passed on, who lived in that location. So even if it didn't take the shape and form of a blood or crip, it may have took the shape and form of something else. But the same concept, the same energy is still being paid attention to in that space. So that vortex in that space, this is why when you could go somewhere, you feel the vibes. You go somewhere and be like, man, I don't feel right here. Or you go somewhere and be like, man, I feel here. I resonate with here. This is why. You see what I'm saying? because of the rotation and the vibration that's been going on. You may, if it's a place you like, you may have walked into a place that's vibing in the same, that been vibing in the same way you like to vibe. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. Now, getting into why it's important to sleep, or at least take a nap, at least sometimes, in every room your home, because this is going to help you understand the frequency vibrations that's actually going on. And I'm gonna give you an understanding by personal examples. Like me, I have a king size bed, but I don't necessarily always like to sleep in the bed. I actually like to sleep on the floor more than the bed. So sometimes I might sleep on the living room floor, dining room floor, hallway floor, by the steps, going upstairs. You know what I'm saying? May sleep in the kitchen, you know, in a room, and then different areas in the room. Maybe on the floor in the room, on the bed in the room. And here's where you're gonna have. This is what you start to understand once you start to do this frequently. This is what you start to understand. You're gonna start understanding that you have different dreams in every location in your when you take a nap or you sleep. You have different set of dreams. Now, if you're a super left brain person, you probably think, well, you have different dreams in one spot. You need to get into the spirit and start working with the real world, real realm. Like I said, go back to understanding. This is how you lift the veil and understand the actual things and the actual spirits that's actually in actual interactions that's going on in your home. When you're just in the yang realm with the light, you can't see the shit when the lights and the fake ass lights, but when in the darkness you can see the shit, which is the spirit realm, not the darkness that y'all see. That fake ass light that y'all call dark, that's another light. That ain't really darkness. That's a whole nother light. Y'all need to quit it with y'all words and shit. But and y'all lostness. But what you need to understand is this: when we talk about the space that you are in, sleeping, when you start to jump into this and start to always sleep in different spots, you're gonna start to understand this. It's not that you're having different dreams. The dreams may be different, but they all have similar themes. For an example, when I sleep in my room, right, I may have a lot of different dreams, but they all have the same theme. It's always about something being in bondage. It's always me expressing myself how to get out of something, or me expressing to somebody else how to get out of something. So that's let me know what's esoterically in the astral realm going on in that room. So I have plenty of different dreams. Dreams about me having to save somebody, me having to save myself, me expressing how we got to get out of something. I experience heavy separateness and things of that nature when I sleep in my room. So that's let me know whoever was sleeping in that room before I moved here may have picked up on spirits before them, or they may have been heavy vibrations of separateness, not getting what they want, needing to escape from something, needing to tell somebody else to escape from something. And it's the vibration that their spirit was in. And it's not the vibration my spirit is in, because I'm the one that's trying to understand, why am I experiencing this? See, if you are the one experiencing, you are receiving. The only output you give off is your friction that you bounce back and forth. Like I was saying, your thoughts are not your thoughts. You receive everything in this realm. From the air you breathe, everything. That's why you breathe in first. You always receive. You're receiving light. You're receiving visions. You're receiving everything. What you give off is your ability to assess what you just received. So then that becomes what you gave off. Then another being in the universe can receive that. And then we all keep bouncing off, making each other expand, adding on to shit. But for the most part, you cannot think about your thoughts. Your thoughts is only when you start to think about what you're receiving. Then whatever you came up with, whatever you received based upon a thought or a feeling or emotion, that becomes your thought. That's how you create your thought. You see what I'm saying? Now, this is why it's always good to work with higher forces or even lower forces or intellectual beings. See, when I say shit like that, people get the game fucked up. And people who are lost in religion don't understand that they may be following a lost star or a lost being that's utilizing a certain shape or form as and it's a spirit utilizing that form and possessing that form, and as you possessing your body right now, but you so lost you don't know that's what you doing. You see what I'm saying? So you letting a more vibrational spirit, more experienced one, have a way with you. You got to have a clear understanding that there's many different gods, many different spiritual beings. So when I say God, you have to be clear. That's like asking anybody who, you got to know where somebody's mind at. Look, God exists, but you have to always ask somebody where they mind at. Don't ask them where they mind at, but you know, when you talk to somebody, talk to them, you will know where they mind is at based upon what they're saying. So you will know who their God is. So you can make it clear. Okay, they're talking about the Christian God. Oh, they talk about the Hebrew God or whatever God they're talking about. But that's their God. Now you can get into arguments every day of, oh, that's not God, that ain't the real God, that ain't no gods, ain't no gods. If there's spirits out here that got the ability to have authority over people like that, that's God power. You're taking God out of context and try to make it a specific person. Now, when I say God, I'm talking about the overall. So all those gods you're talking about will look at that one and be like, oh, that's God. You see what I'm saying? So, because in this realm now we in, when you say God, that's, fuck the word. Think about the frequency vibration that it carried. That came from somewhere. So whoever carried the word still was carrying the frequency vibration that was very strong. That was just the shape and form was used at the time to correlate a sigil for it. You can't get lost in words. See, people who tell other people that they lost in words be lost in words. Because they sit there and harbor over a word and want to distinguish it. And we don't have to say, and we don't have to do that. We know what we mean. So fuck whatever words you saying. If I feel what you mean, then I know where you coming from. So I don't have to waste my time on you shouldn't say that word or not. Now me being a spiritual person like that, I can look at your conscious level and see if you're lost or not. Then if it's warranted for that kind of conversation based upon where you're at, then we will have that conversation. Because I will see how lost you are, and I will be like, okay, it's not cool for you. See, every Pacific person is different. I would be like, it's not cool for you to use that word because, see, you probably into a lot of shit, so you'll manifest a lot. So I know how to come to you and how to make sense for you, so it won't come opposition. But if I'm talking to a person who clearly understands, there's no need to get into that because we're not manifesting anything from them words because we understand where we're coming from spiritually, so we're not wasting time on that light and that information and adding on to the actual word, which is aka us debating or discussing why we're using that word. That's us creating and manifesting and building on that. If we already know what it means, it's going to fliver in the wind because we already know what it means. So we're on to the building of the conversation in the spirit realm, not wasting time on the, you get what I'm saying? Motherfuckers be lost on the super level. And I've been going for a minute and I realize niggas still ain't talking about shit. None of these motherfuckers out here. But let's get back into why it's important to sleep in every part of your house. See, I'm talking about helping the spirit. These motherfuckers out here want to talk about, keep going to history and the past and books and shit. We risen from that shifting. We know that shit now. We are the star seeds. Let's talk about being spirits now. We are that shit now. So look, when you sleeping in each room, that's letting you know each frequency vibration that's going on in every room, right? That's why it's important to motherfucking sleep or at least take a nap in every room, because the type of dream that you have is gonna let you know what's actually going on beneath the veil. So for an example, you done decorated your living room in the way that you see it every day. So when you go to sleep, your dream may be way different, right? But the frequency vibration is still in that location in space, right? So what you need to understand is a lot of times whatever you're dreaming, what you're feeling, and the things that you're going through is the actual frequency vibration of the spirits and the interactions that's going on beneath the veil. So that's telling you what's actually going on in that space. So you could be like, oh, you could wake up and be like, damn. For an example, when I sleep on the floor in my living room. I have a lot of dreams about being in school. And I have a lot of dreams about skipping class, but not just skipping class, not needing class. Like I don't feel no remorse from it or anything of that nature. And actually, I come in and out. It's almost like I'm a tutor or some shit like that. But not just that, I might be in a car, or I might be at a party. You know what I'm saying? But it's always a theme around learning something and skipping something. Learning and skipping. It's always a learning and skipping. Like if I'm at a party, I might be in the bathroom too long, so I miss the party, but I'm at the party. If I'm at school, I might be skipping class all the time, but I'm at school, and I can walk in and out of class as I please, and I don't get in trouble for it. If I'm in a car, you know what I'm saying, I might be driving for a minute, but before I get to where I really need to go, I end up being on a bike. Then I end up not, you know what I'm saying? So that's letting me know that whatever was going on in that living room, based upon the people who was living here before I was here, there was a lot of learning going on, a lot of restrictiveness, a lot of you can't do. Probably couldn't walk. You probably couldn't walk in the living room with your shoes on, and they probably was real strict on that. Probably was a, you know what I'm saying, like little shit like that. You could actually pick up on this shit. This shit is real. You know what I'm saying? If you into the spirit and not too logical or too lost into the physical and think that this some bullshit type shit. No, this is really not. You will start to realize the shit you into is really some bullshit type shit. But yeah, you could really pin it down. Pin it down. You know what I'm saying? So you could this is why, say you fell asleep over somebody else's house. This is why the dream be different. You may even have a dream that you always dream about, but I bet you the feelings and the experiences in that dream made you feel way different. Like the scenario was way different. Like you might always dream about, no matter where you at, you might always dream about you with this person in this specific location. But I bet when you in that specific area at the time, say you fell asleep over your aunt house or your friend house or something like that, I bet you the whole scenario be different that time. It'd be unique. You'd be like, damn, and that never happened before there. That's why. And then that'll let you, and then pay attention to that, because that'll let you know what's actually going on in that person's house that you're sleeping at the moment. You know what I'm saying? If you a cheating ass motherfucker and you fall asleep over the person's house that you're cheating with, right? And that person, they got a partner, right? Pay attention to the dreams you have when you sleeping with that person. Is it negative or positive? What kind of scenario it is? Because that's going to let you know what's getting ready to take shape and form. Is your ass getting ready to get knocked the fuck out soon as Mr. Postman get the fuck off work and see your motherfucking car in the driveway? You know what I'm saying? Or you see what I'm saying? Or is it on the flip side? You might be a female and you've been going out to the same club with homeboy, right? And you ain't know that you went out this night and his girl is there with all 6 of her motherfucking goddamn friends. And they all got knives in their goddamn purse. So, and the motherfucking bouncer ain't checking. So, when you sleeping in his car and shit like that, think about what kind of dreams you having. What kind of vibrations is you having. I don't care if it's a dream and everybody in that dream is people that you know in your regular life. Pay attention to what they doing, because the people, places, and things matters none in the dream. Just the vibration. So pay very motherfucking close attention to that, right? Now, when you sleeping in that motherfucker's car and shit, because y'all ain't ready to go fucking home yet, and he's waiting and shit like that, right? And y'all ain't go to the club yet before you've realized that his girlfriend was there with all 5 of her motherfucking friends, right? When one of those days that you was sleeping in his car, pay attention to the dreams. I don't care what kind of dream it was. Pay attention to the scenario. Was it a scenario of you needing to get away from something? Was this a scenario of you being trapped? Was it a scenario of you of your mother? Because your mother, that's another thing. When your mother or your grandmother come into your life and you in one of these cheating scenarios, females, right? Your mother and your grandmother play as a scenario as to let you know that, see, I told you so. Now, your mother or your grandmother could be on some bullshit in your dream. But you need to understand, just the simple fact that you seen them, when you was taking a nap in this motherfucking car, take heed to that. Because your mother or your grandmother always playing the representations of I told you so. No matter what they doing in your dream. They could be telling you to do something in your dream. But it always plays in the wake life as that. You see what I'm saying? So you're gonna experience something in your wake life that's something you probably even told yourself was gonna happen, but you was too busy being lost into whatever the relationship was, to the point that 10-30 minutes pass, you wake up, y'all late for the club, you end up at the club, and the situation that actually physically get manifested is you run into his motherfucking girlfriend with all 5 of her goddamn friends with knives in their goddamn purses. To be motherfucking continue. What happens next on fucking Dragon Ball Z? But you know what I'm saying? That's what the fuck happens, you see? But this is why it's important to understand your dreams when you're sleeping in different spaces and locations. And I know this started off with the home, but you could take this science anywhere. When you're spending the night, taking a vacation, being in certain hotels. You see what I'm saying? Especially hotel rooms. This is where they get haunted shit from, and all that shit probably is haunted. People probably got mass murdered, slaughtered in certain hotel rooms, motel rooms that you go to at times and try to cheat or just do things, or you're in the city based upon business matters and shit, and you just need a hotel because you're only going to be there based upon business schedule. So you're only going to be there for a day or so or something like that. So, or certain resorts and shit like that. You don't know what took places thousands of fucking years ago in that space, and how much people and spirits that jumped in other bodies and peoples and animals and things of that nature that been vibing and adding on to that vortex in that space. So when you get there, you picking up all kind of shit with your spirit there. And now you got to sustain yourself the best way possible in that, as an astral travel in that location, as what we all do in that spirits. So, you know, this goes motherfucking deep. So, you know, the dream world is beneath the veil. Like I said, it's beneath the veil. Beneath the motherfucking veil. This video could go deep because I'm gonna do another video because it's another concept that has popped in my motherfucking head also that's very important, very essential to this point. But flight bus, bitch, goddamn air.